And I am here with yet again another episode of how the dust collection for the miter saw turns. If you remember from, if you watched the video that I did before, I decided that you really can't capture the dust from a miter saw unless you have some super dust collection system. And I do have a 1 horsepower one that I use for some other tools, but I had built this one with a collection system, a vacuum cleaner underneath, and decided to try to contain the dust as best I could. So here we have some curtains, and behind the curtain is, let me get that a little bit closer. Behind the curtain, I do have my miter saw connected down through here that goes to the shop vac. And I don't know if you can see, but there is sawdust, and I've been cutting a few pieces of wood today, and there's almost nothing out here. All of it is behind the curtain. And if you remember, I made a shallow hood, because when you have a sliding miter saw, you can make one about 5 feet deep if you want to, along with a plastic sheet here that goes up top to try to block the dust from going out and staying within the hood. These curtains also help do that. And I think I may have gotten it. I need to improve on this in that I didn't want to build something, you know, permanent right away before I realized it would work. But now I think I can start covering it and hook things up a little bit better. I think this is going to work. I'm not getting blowback out at me. I'm not getting any going out behind the hood, or very, very little. And I'm still able to slide my miter saw back and forth without having a hood that's 4 feet deep. Along with this, let me turn this around, and you may have remembered this one before because I talked about it. I do have on the back of the miter saw 2 valves. This one makes it so that the vacuum cleaner is directed towards the miter saw, and when I turn this one off and this one on, the vacuum cleaner works over here, and I have a wand on this so that I can clean up the mess on the inside of the miter saw periodically, because as you know, the only part that's going out is the part that's going out through the hose that's connected to the miter saw outlet. I have a little hanger here for it, and it just works pretty slick as far as I'm concerned. And let me get this straightened around again here. Another thing I want to mention too, in that I've been working with this miter saw for about 6 years now, and I had a 10-inch one before this. And when I built this, I was looking online at all the guys who, you know, have the fences with the stop blocks and all of this stuff, and I thought, well, that's great with the rulers on the top. And I'm thinking, why do I need that? Whenever I'm cutting something, if it's a long board, I'm usually rough cutting it to bring it down to size. Unless I'm making a bed, I'm really never using too many long pieces. Most of my pieces are about this long or this long, depending on what they are. I do a lot of doors and things like that. So I just need something about this big. This holds it straight. If I'm going to cut something, and let's say I need about 8 styles or rails on doors that are all exactly the same size, well, what I have been doing is rough cutting them, and then cutting the ends really straight and turning them around and lining them up, and then just cutting them all at once. Getting the rails and styles exactly the right length, particularly within the same door, is really important, because if you don't, your door isn't square. So I've been doing a lot of cutting all at once. The only reason that I might put a rail here is because when I do put a stop block, I can put those blocks of wood that I cut all at once against that block and cutting them. Right now what I'm doing is putting a square on the end and squaring them off and then just cutting them. So I am not going to put an extended thing here. I know, some of you have some beautiful permanent or mobile bases like this, and the reason mine is mobile, It's because I really need to move it around the shop to clean it and just to get things out of the way, to move another tool in place so I can use it. And they're beautiful, and if it functions for you, great. But after years of using a miter saw, and I use it a lot because it's my main saw, my table saw just does ripping. I find that this extended version of thing with a ruler on it would be completely useless to me. The stop block, yes. I also find too that even though I have a wing on the other side, when you cut something with a saw, this is the good piece. So that this is really the side that you just need a short area for unless you're using some long pieces. The other end is usually where you have your longer piece of wood. So this end, the length of it doesn't really matter that much most of the time. If I do have something that's very long, well, my miter saw wing is exactly the same height as my assembly and outfeed table, so I use that. And I also have a couple of those roller stands, but rarely do I need them. Also, when I'm cutting a long piece of wood, usually it is not that straight. I can't put it in the jointer if it's like an 8-footer because it just doesn't work. The jointer really works well on pieces that are maybe 4 or 5 feet or less. So that what I usually end up doing is putting in here and just rough cutting it to get it down the side so I can join it anyway. If I make any improvements on it, I'll post it for anybody who might be interested.